So today we'll be starting off with a very quick introduction to Microsoft Sentinel to tee up the opportunities of why should I build on Microsoft Sentinel platform, followed by the hows and the what's in the house of building on Microsoft Sentinel platform. And we'll also have a few demos in terms of where these content or solutions that you'll build land on Microsoft Sentinel platform, as well as like how do you really go about building all of these too. So without much ado, let's get started. First off, what's Microsoft Sentinel? It's cloud-native SIEM. This completely powered by AI and automations. It enables you to harness the scale of the cloud, where you can bring in different data sources from Microsoft, non-Microsoft products and services, and be able to get alerts on those based on AI and powered by Microsoft technologies. Finally, you can also get incident responses, and that too with less time and cost with because of all these insights that actually Microsoft research teams provide internally. With all of that, you can also automate your incident response scenarios and remediate and get ahead of attackers finally. So it's an end-to-end SIEM and SOAR technology completely powered by AI and automations. With that background, let's get into why should I really build on Microsoft Sentinel platform? First off, there are over 17K customers, active customers leveraging the Sentinel platform, and they have very good feedback for Sentinel as well. And with all of this, there is a lot of action on there. So you want to ensure that your technology is also represented in Sentinel. The other aspect is there are over 80 service providers or managed service providers leveraging Sentinel for the security operations purposes. This is also backed by close to 200 integrations that we have with connectors and solutions from our service ISVs or partners. We also have over 2,000 Sentinel community contributions. There's also a community that backs all of this, and that also enables you to get help and also be able to leverage all the templates and examples that our community members have contributed to. So all the more reason to build on Sentinel. There's also on the community side, we also run hackathons so that you can win some awesome prizes too. With that, let's look at what can I really build on Sentinel platform. And that's where getting a hang of the customer use cases will be very, very important here. It all starts with data ingestion and how to bring in data from Microsoft as well as non-Microsoft products and services into Sentinel. And that is possible using data connectors and parsers to actually format that data. You can leverage workbooks, or you can build workbooks and or dashboards to actually get insights on top of this data and visualize this data. You can actually correlate and create analytic rules or for alert purposes. And these are all you can also intersperse that with threat intelligence indicators or UEBA scenarios as well. Finally, you can also use hunting queries, and those are also type of content to hunt through the sea of data that is actually coming into Sentinel. Notebooks empower advanced hunting scenarios. Watch lists help protect your assets and critical assets in your organization. Playbooks, which are powered by Azure Logic apps, enables you to investigate, remediate, and respond in an automated manner using workflows. And you can specify all of these playbooks or even deliver logic app connectors that enable common functionality for your scenarios. These are all out-of-box content types available in Sentinel today, but that does we're also working on enabling more out-of-box content types in the future. So it's an expanding landscape. When we talk about this out-of-box content examples, they can be either they're written using code for data connectors, or they can be codeless data connectors too. They can be queries, KQL queries, a group of queries for workbooks, analytics, scenarios, and all. And they also follow established patterns where we have all kind of examples, templates, and all to get you started very quickly. So these content types, out-of-box content, can be delivered as standalone content, or they can be packaged into solutions That gets us to the next item in terms of what are these solutions? So solutions can be either packaged content. We just looked at the SIEM content types in the earlier slide. So these can be either packaged content, or they can be integrations like API integrations or tools, or they can even be service offerings or listings. And ultimately, this enables you to deliver a combined value for either a product need for SOC teams, or a domain need, or a vertical need. The product need, for example, could be like integrating with a certain product scenario, like Azure Active Directory integration, or CrowdStrike integration, Palo Alto integration. It could be a domain need, which could be like based on compliance scenarios, like it would be specifically on like compliance packs that can actually operate on multiple data sources and give you those compliance insights. Vertical need would be those industry vertical scenarios like finance SOX package or HIPAA package and for healthcare and so on. So all of these like are solution types that are enabled in Sentinel today. So that gets us to another question on why really do we have Sentinel solutions? So there are two value props here, for customers and for partners. From a customer's perspective, it enables customers to centrally discover end-to-end value in Sentinel in a single place. And it enables customers to deploy all of this content in a single step. And that way get that end-to-end product or domain or vertical value very quickly. Finally, this is a new capability that I'll be demoing shortly. We're able to even manage centrally that content that is deployed easily. From a partner's perspective, partners are able to provide end-to-end value for their integrations and be able to differentiate their offerings in Sentinel. So that's where it enables you to build and productize your investments as a partner. We are also working and exploring opportunities to tap into marketplace offerings in the future to expand your customer reach as well from a partner's standpoint and deliver mutual customer value. So with that context, when you deliver a solution, where does it land ultimately? What is the customer experience behind that? That's where like there is Content Hub in Sentinel for getting all the out-of-box content represented in Sentinel. That's where like customers can go and get and query and get like out-of-box content and solutions in Sentinel. There are over 180 solutions currently and delivered by partner teams in Microsoft as well. And this enables customers to connect very easily with those technologies and also be able to enable very centrally and easily these deployed content types. Finally, these out-of-box content can be easily updated with update notifications, and customers are also able to delete content that they don't want as well. So these are kind of the key new scenarios that we'll be demoing as well. With that, let's actually switch over to the demo to see how the solution looks like in Content Hub and what are the new capabilities before we delve into how to build a solution. I'm switching my screen to get to Sentinel portal, to the Azure portal and Sentinel. So here we can see that there are like close to 189 solutions out here, and you can actually filter by different categories out here. This is Content Hub in Sentinel, where all the out-of-box content for Sentinel lands so that customers can unlock quick value in Sentinel using these. There are different types of filters here. Status filter actually enables customers to look for installed or new solutions and whether updates are available using these are the update notifications. You can search by content types. So you can search by solutions that have analytic roles or data connectors and so on. Similarly, you can search by support, whether it's supported by Microsoft or its partners supported. You can search by different types of providers. If you are looking for customers looking for a solution from that connects with Amazon technologies, then you can search for that and Palo Alto and other technologies too. You can also search by categories. These categories are very important so that if it's actually searched by use cases. So for example, if I want to just look at compliance solutions, I can just search for that and then do an apply on it. And I get all the solutions that meet that compliance, that's for compliance scenarios. So going back, like this is the discovery aspects that Content Hub provides, provides for out-of-box content in Sentinel. Now let's look at the deployment aspects of it. Suppose if I want to deploy a solution, I can just go ahead, click on that, and then go ahead and do an install out here. The install will just go get me through the installation steps. Before we get into install, let's take a look at what all is available out here. There's an overview that shows what does the solution offer. There are plans also that talks about what the solution is all about and the offerings for it. Usage information and support enables you to get support if you run into any issues, and that's where the support information shows up. And this is a direct link for support for that solution. And we look at where do we set these parameters as well in the how-tos. Customers can also provide reviews for these solutions too. With that, you can go ahead and create a solution. And this is where it takes you through the process of the solution wizard and what all content is available in this solution. So the solution has a few workbooks, analytic rules, functions, and watch lists. So you can actually see what all is there and also go through this experience. We'll also learn how to build this experience in the latter half of this presentation. So watch list, and then you can pretty much review all the content items that's there. And I think I didn't set up my workspace here. So just select a workspace and you can go ahead and review and create. Review and create will just go ahead and deploy the solution into your Sentinel workspace. Now, when this gets deployed, I'm not going to click the deploy just in the interest of time, but let's go ahead and take a look at a deployed solution. So once the solution gets deployed, you will actually see, I'll just zoom through one of those installed solutions. So when a solution gets installed, when you go through the deployment, you will see a check mark out here saying that it's installed. And you can also query and sort out by installed solutions. So you will see once a solution is installed, you'll see a manage button here. Now, one thing to note out here is this manage will show up only for 2.0 version solutions. And anything below 2.0 will not show the manage button after your solution is installed. And I'll tell you why. That's because like earlier, just a few months ago, we were actually installing solutions. When a solution installs, it will deliver all the items like analytic rules and all to the active item gallery. For example, if the solution deploys in the 1.0 world version, it would actually deploy analytics out here in the active rules gallery and not in the rule templates gallery. With the 2.0 versions, and similarly, like for playbooks, it'll go in the active playbooks directly. And when I update a solution, it will actually add more active rules because these active rules can be customized. So we weren't overwriting the content items. Now with the new 2.0 world of solutions, what happens is it'll land in the templates gallery for analytics and other types like workbooks and hunting is also read-only templates. So that then you can create active items out of that and then do for your customized scenarios. And the out-of-box read-only item or templates can be updated without creating any duplicate items. So that was a change that I wanted to actually mention, and this was recently delivered. So now let's go back to our install item and see the manage experience, which is also very new, in fact. So if you go to the install solution, in this case, Azure activity, you can see manage. You also have a few actions where you can reinstall the solution. I'll tell you in a bit where reinstall will be useful, or you can go ahead and delete your solution as well, which will just like mark this. It'll remove all the templates that got installed from the templates gallery. And then it'll unmark the installed. Install will go away and you can get the solution back again whenever you want it. So nothing goes away from the Content Hub itself. It's just like going away from your workspace. So let's go to manage and take a look. So clicking on manage will actually open up all the items that got disinstalled as a part of this solution. So this solution has a workbook, has a bunch of hunting queries, analytics, and a data connector too. Now let's take a look at this data connector. We'll see that this data connector is connected. Oops, I think like this thing should not show up when it's connected. This is a bug. I'll take it up with a team. But in general, like what we have here is this data connector is connected, and you will actually see all the information that this data connector has in general that is same as actually as it appears in the data connectors gallery. So if I just do an open connector page out here, it'll directly take me to the data connectors gallery, where if it were not connected, I could go through the configuration steps and or disconnect or connect and go ahead and connect my data sources to Sentinel. So it's a very easy way to and a click to get to enabling your data sources from here. Going back to the manage view, you can just toggle back and forth using the views out here. We can actually see what is available next. Like this, there's an analytic rule that is installed here. So let's go ahead and look at this analytic rule. So clicking on that will directly take you to the analytic. You'll see that this is installed in the rule templates out here. And I can actually go ahead and create my rule from here. Creating the rule will actually go ahead and create an active rule in the active gallery. So let's go ahead and do this process very quickly. So I can set my rule logic, I can update as much as I want to, and then I can just go ahead and create this rule. It's validating, and once it creates the rule, it's actually showing up as an update, as a rule out here in the active item gallery. So that's what happens. And then if I go back to that Azure Activities Manage view, I'll see that this changes from like configure needed to in use. So this requires configuration. It changes to in use because now I'm using this content. Let me just zoom out a bit because there's one more thing I wanted to show you. I'll also see a created item list also. So this can directly take me to the active item that I created just now. Let me minimize this for a bit. So you can see the version of the content as well as what type of content it is. And I can also zoom directly into the created content item here. So in this case, we just created this rule. So if I just go ahead and do the click on the one item, it'll take me to the active rule. If I created a couple of copies of this rule, I'll see both the copies there as well. So that's what is available there. And similarly for other content types too. So if I go to the hunting queries out here, I can see the hunting query view out here in the side panel that's loaded, and I can run my query from here directly as well. And in this case, I've created a clone for this item, and I cloned the hunting query and modified it. So in this case, I can see 2 results for this. I can directly go to the results and start my hunting scenarios. This is the cloned copy that I'd customized, so this will directly take me to the hunting gallery and where I can work with this content item directly and customize it further. Similarly, workbooks, I can see that here. So you will see that workbooks and hunting queries do not show this the triangle for needing configuration. That's just because you can just execute the hunting query from out here in the side panel view. And even for the workbook, you don't have to configure anything. You just can go ahead and execute the workbook. In this case, like I just can do a view template on this, and it'll just load my workbook with all the parameters. It'll load the template workbook template as it does in Sentinel Workbooks Gallery today. So only if I go ahead and create a clone out of it or save it for customizations, I'll see a link like in this case out here to directly go to that custom item that I can work with as well. So these kind of content items like workbooks and hunting do not need any configuration. You can just execute the template and get your results, unless you want to customize those. And like items like data connector requires some amount of configuration before it can be in use. Similarly for analytics and playbooks, it'll be the same case too. With that, you can also, like suppose there's so many analytic rules and hunting queries, probably I don't want so many of these. I can go ahead and do a bulk delete out here and select a bunch of these and go ahead and delete these content items. So deleting these content items will just remove them from my templates gallery. Oh, and also like they won't show up here. You can have a less cluttered view in general. Suppose if you delete something and then you want to bring it back, you can just go ahead and reinstall the solution, which will bring back all the content items pretty much. So that way, then you don't need a kind of a selection in the install wizard. You can look at the content items and make a choice on what you want to delete and whether you want to delete the content item or not after looking at the queries in general. So with that, this is what the new experience that we have for Manage. And with that, let's switch over to our slides. This will move to how to really build solutions. We looked at where your solution lands and the customer experience for that solution. For the 2.0 solution, there is a managed experience view that is very rich. And we look into how to really create that 2.0 solution today. First step, there are 3 steps to building a solution. First off, the value prop for the solution, scenarios, and the content for the solution needs to be created. And this is usually like the value prop and all is usually a product management activity, and the creating the content piece becomes more of a developer activity. It's a mixed rollout here. There are like a lot of detailed guidelines and examples and templates to get you started, and tools as well to get you started on creating content quickly. And there's also a content validation review process available in the GitHub. We'll actually look at all these steps in detail in a bit. I'm walking us through the steps before we delve into the details there. Just zooming into that specific step of creating content. These are all like the SIEM content. There is a development, test, and submission process in the GitHub. So there is development process that I'll walk us through in terms of what kind of contribution processes exist today for each content type. How do you go ahead and test them using the automated GitHub pipelines? You can also add tests for your custom scenarios out here. And you can also submit your as a PR in GitHub, a pull request, and the Sentinel team will review and merge that pull request, after which you can start looking at the next step of packaging. So in the development step, if you're actually building a data connector, we have a new way to build a data connector codelessly without having to write any code. This is like it enables you to connect with different REST API endpoints and get data into Sentinel very easily using just a JSON file specification and writing no code. And you can learn how to build that codelessly in an earlier session that we did in an earlier webinar that my peers did, Oded and Yaniv actually walk us through those. And please check that out at ak.ms, WAC security community, WAC codeless connector. So that will actually help you build your codeless connector, and there's detailed demos on that as well. Once you create all your SIEM content like data connectors and you back it with workbooks and hunting queries, analytics and playbooks, etc., or depending on your use case scenarios, it completely depends on that. You can actually go ahead to the next step, which is packaging this content or generating your solution package. And this step, there is actually packaging tool that helps you generate your version 2.0 solution. And you can also have a tool, there's an ARM-TDK tool, validation tool to validate your package as well. We'll walk through this step too. Once you have the package generated and validated, that's where you can actually go to the next step, which is how do you publish the solution? This is your solution. Whatever your solution you publish will actually be visible in Content Hub and also the Azure Marketplace. It is discoverable in Azure Marketplace as well, because all these solutions leverage the Azure Marketplace pipeline. So the publishing solution step is completely on Partner Center, Microsoft Partner Center. So if your company hasn't registered there, it's a one-time registration process to do that, and you get access to Microsoft Partner Center, where you can go ahead and create your offer and also certify and publish. And we'll go through this step as well in a demo shortly. So these are the 3 steps: create your content, package it using the tool, go ahead and publish your solution. That's all there is to landing your solution. With that, let's actually switch over to the demo itself in terms of how can these 3 steps be landed and what is involved in that. So switching over to the demo view, and I just go ahead to our GitHub repo. So aka.ms WAC threat hunters will get you out here to the wiki of the unified GitHub repo. So any contribution that you make here, would benefit both the Microsoft SIEM and XDR community. It's a unified community now. And it actually provides you a lot of details on what this community is all about, and also walks you through what are the content opportunities, contributions. There is a leaderboard out here, so all the more reason to contribute. So your contributions will get scored, and you also can track where you are on the leaderboard as well. And so it's a fun way to actually like see and move up the leaderboard. There's a get started guide out here. There's a leaderboard details and all, and get started would actually take you to the development part of the first step, which is creating content. So this also adds a link to the solutions directly, but let's actually focus more in the first step on creating content like playbooks, workbooks, hunting queries, notebooks, data connectors, and so on. So each of these contribution types has a detailed contribution guidance and also product documentation in terms of showing where this how this feature will be used by customers as well. So that there's that, and there is some extra resources as well to help you build your content. For example, if you look at the contribution guidance for analytic rule templates, taking a quick detour there, we can see that there is very detailed guidance in terms of how do you really kind of go about creating a query, what are the things to keep in mind, as well as a schema, YAML schema file that is available that you can directly use and then feed in your query details by switching the connector ID, data types. You can even specify your query frequency and period. You can specify your query here. It's like you can just copy this and then go ahead and modify it for your scenario, and voila, you have an analytic rule template there. And you can try it like the query is tested, so you can copy paste that from your workspace. And this is an example query where the template is filled out as well. And you can even specify micro tactics and techniques as well, which will show up in the query as too. There's also parser information, and there's also async parser creation process. All of that is documented too in this. So similarly, there is also analytic rules hunting queries share pretty much a similar format for contribution. And like going back to other guidances, similarly, there's other guidance also in terms of how do you create a hunting query, a workbook, and all of these are templatized, and or they have details in terms of you just go ahead, create a workbook in Sentinel and just export it out, and the JSON, you can just once you test it, you can just make a pull request in the GitHub repo. So all of these content types have detailed guidance and to get you started here. With that, let's move to the solution contribution guidance. Clicking that will take you directly to Guide to Building Microsoft Sentinel Solutions. And this is where there is a three-step process on your solution creation that we just walked through in the slide deck. Create your content, which we just covered. The next step is your packaging of content, which we are going to go through next. So for packaging, when you create your content and for packaging in a solution, one of the things to keep in mind is where the solution content is it's created. So for example, if I go ahead and create content for a solution, all these are solution packages that's available in Sentinel today. Now, what you'll do is basically create a folder for your solution. In this case, for example, correlate. Correlate folder is created for the solution. And you go ahead and put all your analytic rules, data connectors, hunting queries, and etc. information out here by creating the PR will actually have the folders and the content pertaining to that. Just clicking into one of these analytic rules, you can see that this is the YAML for the analytic rule. You can create a similar one using the template that we just walked through and put it in your solution folder. So one another aspect is you don't have to look at the solution as a complete solution in the first cycle. It can be an iterative cycle. You can start with a data connector and perhaps a workbook and start your solution small and learn from customer feedback and keep building upon it by adding more and more analytics and hunting queries based on what you learn. So it can be an iterative process. Solutions can be updated and notifications can be sent out and so on as well. So once you create the content, you package it like this. The PR is the submission of the PR. There are steps for that. So if we go back to this to the original place where we have the contribution guidance, how do you test your contributions also there? Any PR that you submit will automatically the Azure Pipelines tests will be run on that, and you will get the results of that. You can follow the test guidance to see how you can add some more tests for your unique scenarios as well. And how do you open a PR request is also out here. You can clone the repo, then create a branch, and then work on your changes, and then submit that. And all those steps are actually documented very in details as well out here. So switching back to the second packaging part, once you create all these items out here, you will move to packaging. So packaging will directly, the second step, there is a direct link to how do you package your content. There is a packaging guidance out here. Follow the packaging tool guidance. It'll directly take you to the tool guidance out here. This is the V2 guidance that we have for the template-based solutions that you can create and follow. And the packaging tool guidance basically asks you to install the tool. So the prerequisites are mentioned: PowerShell, Node.js, and etc. And what you can do is create your solution package. You can just clone the repo, you'll get the packaging tool. You just have to specify 2 files, and that's it. That input file will point you to your content. So this is the input file template, and a filled in example is also there that follows here. So you can just copy this template. Basically, you provide the solution name for your solution. Ensure your solution name is very specific to the product integration. Use complete brand names. And also, like, if it's catering to a certain scenario, do specify that in the solution, the value that it provides. The author name usually is the company name for solutions. Then the logo, if you have a logo, you can provide that. And the solution description in terms of what is the unique value that customers can get out of the solution. And when we talk about workbook description, workbooks, and all these things, we'll take a look at an example where how these are specified. You can specify the workbook names and also the path to it and base path, which will just, and basically all of these items will be picked and packaged. So I'll show a filled out example. Version is 2.0, or as you're updating solutions, the next version will be 2.0.1. It's a minor update. If it's a major update, you do a 2.1.0. And if it's like, so you operate in the 2.0 space, it's basically the semantics of the versioning. And that is also listed out here in terms of how do you rev your packages and versioning guidelines for your update scenarios too. The other important piece is, besides the input file, you also need to provide a metadata file. This is a solution metadata file. Remember, in the first scenario, we looked at different categories and support constructs and all for the solution, and that is specified in the metadata file. We'll take a look at this as well now. So the input file example is also provided here. It basically gives you description of what it is. This description is actually what lands in the create UI definition, or not the create. It's basically lands in the wizard experience. So we saw here, I'll just open this side by side just so that it's easier for us to view. I'll open the deploy experience for one of these solutions. Let's do the install. We just do a create. So this is the part that is fed in that description. So you can customize that as you want it by providing this information here. So workbooks description will show up there, blade description, the analytic description, and so on. So that is fed into this. This is where that will show up in the customer experience. Now here is where you'll specify the paths to your solution files. And basically this is all operating in local because you have actually downloaded the tool and you're running it in your local repo before you merge everything and create a pull request with this. So the analytic rules, workbooks, all of that is listed here, the paths to that, and the base path is also provided out here. The metadata file is very important because that's what actually enables customers to discover and filter and search for the content very easily. And that's where this is the metadata file format. It usually has a publisher ID, an offer ID. These two things you will get it after you create your solution in this third step. So basically what happens is you will have your publisher ID even before, because once you register, you will have a publisher ID from Marketplace or for Partner Center. So you can feed that in here. The offer ID is created when you can actually go ahead and create a skeleton offer and you get an offer ID. So you can feed that before you start packaging this. So I'll show you in the third step how you can create these, and you get an offer ID that you can feed out here before you actually finally package it. And then you can actually put the package into that offer and publish it. So the first and last publish date and all is automatically done. Providers list is where you provide the list of technology that you're integrating with, if it's Cisco, Palo Alto, etc. Categories, there are domains and vertical categories, and these are all documented in details. So we have very detailed documentation for the content and categories that is linked here. So if we go directly here, we can actually see the categories. And they're also defined in terms of what category needs to be used for what purpose. And you can actually set multiple categories by comma separated values. So do set the categories. It enables better discovery of your solution. So then going back, like in this case, this is a security network category, for example, and this was the offer ID. We'll take a look at that real quickly, and the support details as well. The name, email, and but the tiers are also documented out here, the support tiers. So just getting here, the support models are also documented as Microsoft supported, partner supported, or community supported. So used like Microsoft or partner supported. In this case, mainly it will be like partner supported that you can use as a tier, and a link to your support as well channel. So once the solution metadata file is provided, it is referenced in the input file, and you just go ahead, run the tool with the input file like specified, and that's it. It's a partial script, and you just have to run this command. It will actually create your package. What does the package have? The package has two files. One is a create UI definition file, which is basically this experience that lands. So this experience is also very customizable and can be scaled out. So you can actually go ahead and create more, like you can expand to more tabs as needed, or if you want some customized tabs, you can also do that in the create UI definition file. So once it's generated, you can customize it. We'll take a look at how can you do that as well. The other one is the main template file. Main template file is basically what is triggered when you do the review and create the deployment step. It's the master ARM template. That is the main template file. Let's look at both of these files in details. And there's also the toolkit validation, which will tell you how to run the Azure TTK toolkit. It's important to run this validation step before you publish a solution, just so that all the validations are done properly and there is minimal back and forths. So let's take a look at the create UI definition file and the master template, main template file. So I've just opened up both of these files. There is a zip package that gets created with both of these files. So the create UI definition is the wizard that we were talking about. You can see that there is a lot of information here in terms of analytics and all. There's a text also that shows up here, what kind of analytic rule templates it installs, and also you can customize this also if you want to. In general, these are all like templatized, and it just enables consistent experiences. But if you have unique scenarios, do feel free to reach out to us and we can help you customize it too and give you guidance. And hunting queries and all of that is listed. These have like 10 hunting queries. So all those hunting queries text is mentioned here, what type of query it is. So all of that information is here in the create UI definition file. If you have provided everything, you don't even need to modify this. Only for custom scenarios you need to modify, otherwise just leave it and it's fine. Main template file is the one that is the logic. This also doesn't need any updates per se. You can just like run with whatever is generated, test it out and publish it for a simple solution. You don't need to update this. If there are any other scenarios, unique scenarios, reach out and we can help generate more templates for you which are custom as well. So this one actually has, if you look at this is the data connector part of the template. So all of this is auto-generated by the tool. You just fed the data connector JSON file and that's all. It will just auto create this along with all the YAML files are all converted to ARM in this case, and they're all like merged into this ARM master template. So you don't have to do anything, just feed in the YAML files and the tool will take care of everything for you. The workbook, everything will be shown here. Actually, it's a huge file. So once you create these, actually, where is the package uploaded? You can upload it in your GitHub repo. Going back here, we can see that out here, I didn't cover one of the things that is the package. The package is where you track all the versions of your package. The zip is what has the create UI definition in the main template file. You just create and upload your package here, create the pull request, and that's it. And basically, like, you have the second step done. Moving on to the third step, which is the publish process of solution creation. We looked at how to package using the tool. It'll generate all the templates and the master ARM template and the create UI definition file. Next step is publishing a solution. Ensure, like, if you don't have your registration, go ahead and create a one-time registration in Partner Center, and that will unlock Partner Center capabilities. And there are step-by-step guidelines into what all you need to set. So I'll walk us through that. This is Partner Center. So basically, when you go to when you register, you can go to https://partner.microsoft.com. Go ahead, create a new offer. Currently, what is supported is Azure application type of offers for Sentinel. Go ahead, select Azure application type of offer, give an offer ID. And when you save it, you get the offer ID. This is the important thing. This is the offer ID that goes in that metadata file that we just looked at. And the publisher ID, you get it as soon as you register, so you can get that as well. You create the offer. So once you create the offer, okay. You will just be taken to this the solution. In this case, I'm just walking us through a solution that is published already, just to show you what all comes up. So each of these steps, initially, everything will be grayed out. You will be in this page where you can package configuration and everything. So you have to start setting up your offer. You can either you can configure leads if you want to for customer leads as needed. You can set ahead different properties in the solution. The offer listing itself can be set up as well. Listing is which is very important, where you can set up the name of the solution as it shows up in Marketplace and Content Hub, the description, and these are the detailed descriptions. This is what shows up here actually in the earlier step when we go back out here. This is where all these plans and usage information support and everything gets populated from here. So that information is there. The search keyword, this is very important. It's documented in those guidelines. Do set this GUID because this is what will show it up in Content Hub. Otherwise, your solution will be discoverable only in Azure Marketplace and not in Content Hub. So this is a very important step. Then go ahead and set your privacy links. Any other links that you want to set up, you can do that too. This is actually a very important page, so ensure that you loop in your marketing team and product management teams to do to have like a lot of these information set up and the value coming out for the solution. The name and support information shows up in out here. This is the support link. Whatever you feed in here will show up there, and engineering contacts and etc. and logos and screenshots that you can upload as well. If you are pushing your solution in private mode first, you can set up a preview audience too. Let's move on to the other configuration items, which is basically the plan overview. This is where you can create a new plan. And in this case, we've already created one. Set it up as solution template type of plan. There will be two types available, this managed template and solution template. Select the solution template plan. That's what we are supporting now. If you have a scenario for managed template, please feel free to reach out. I'll actually show where you can reach out as well. And we would love to hear your scenarios and build upon it, and we can land it together. So the plan name summary is there, description. The main thing is the technical configuration. So here's where you'll actually upload the package that you created in the second step. You can set the version for the package here, and then there will be an upload package thing. You can upload it, and that's where like the package goes. And then basically you review and publish. When you review and publish, this process starts. You get from one stage to the next stage. After all the validations are done, it'll move you to the next stage. Then the publisher sign off, you sign off, and then it moves to certification. Then you only push it for go live. That's when your there will be a go live button that shows up. That's when your offer will move to certification queue, where Microsoft will certify, and then it'll automatically go live in Content Hub as well as Marketplace for everybody to discover and use. So that's basically the process in terms of how this gets published. And each step has SLAs also mentioned here. One of the key things when you're doing your offer is please set the CSP on. so that it's very important to do this so that your solution has more outreach and the cloud solution providers are able to leverage it for their customer scenarios too. This is the way you can actually increase the outreach. There are a lot of telemetry that you can get out here as well, and that's why it's very important that you publish an offer, and it gives you that value and visibility for your offering in Sentinel. So with that, actually, let's go back. We looked at all the steps in terms of how do you really go about creating and publishing a solution, where it lands in Sentinel, and the experiences that's backed for it. So why wait? Get started now. There is a partner opportunities guide that you can access at aka.ms/Sentinel partner opportunities and get more details on what all you can build in Sentinel. All of this information that is shared is also provided there with more info and details. And there's also contribution guidelines, templates, and samples on GitHub repo that we walked through, which is accessible at aka.ms/WAC threat hunters. This also includes the packaging tool and the detailed steps to publish your offer through Microsoft Partner Center. With that, thank you so much for your time, and happy to take any questions as well.
Great, thank you. We do have a few questions. The first one is, could you show some automation features with no code?
Automation features with no code? These are the code. Are we referring to the codeless connectors in this case?
We're waiting for them to clarify. I'll move on to the next question. The next question is, can the template be defined in bicep or currently in JSON format only?
The templates actually are different for each content type. I'll quickly walk us through the guidance here first. Oops, sorry, here. So just going through the table that we just looked at, each content type has different types of, sorry, let's get back here. So each content type, like Playbook, is basically like you can use the wizard in Azure Logic Apps, and it generates a JSON for you that you can export out. So the guidance for this is actually, again, a codeless approach. So there is guidance on how do you create your Playbook, and basically it's a no code approach out here. Actually, you can drag and drop your wizards and do that. This might also answer the first question that we had. The second approach is this will generate your JSON for Playbook. Workbooks, again, you can create a workbook directly in Azure Monitor Workbooks in Sentinel. And whatever workbook you create, you can just export it out. And there are steps to how do you export that out as well out in here, detailed. And that will create a JSON for you automatically. So you don't have to fill in any template for that. The hunting query and analytic rules share the same contribution guidance, the YAML file. So the query is the one where whatever you create, you can actually plug it in with the additional parameters of MITRE tactics, etc. info. And similarly, like data connectors, it is actually depending on Ceph or syslog, which are like agent-based connectors. We have templates for that. And you can identify what type is the type of connector. And if it's polling or REST API, you can actually use the codeless data connector option, for which the session exists for that. That will create a JSON. The Ceph and syslog are also delivered via JSON files, but it's very easy to fill out that template and get going with that. So data connectors are JSON files, and they'll all get converted to the main template using the tool. So we have templates for the codeless connector. There is templates for the Ceph and REST API, syslog and all. And the template has guidance also in terms of how do you fill this out too. So for CCP template is also provided here. And the details on how do you really create a CCP end-to-end is covered in the video that had shared a link to earlier.
Great, thank you. The next one is, how should we do version tracking of all the contents of a solution, such as analytics rules and workbooks?
Great question. So whenever you have a content update, so again, like the contribution guidelines for each of the content item also covers the scenario, you have to level up the version depending on major, minor, or if it's just a rev, like major or minor versions. So it's a we have made all the content type versioning consistent, which is the 3-step versioning, like it's 1.x.x, like x.x.x kind of. So it is the first one is used usually for the really the version to switch over versions kind of thing. Versus like the major and the minor are the next steps, which are the second and the third bits in that. Whenever there's even a small update to the content, please rev up the version, just increase it by 1. It is the semantic versioning schema that we are using, and each of this like has the versioning info as well. So for example, let's take this analytic rules. You can actually see that there is a version parameter here. Do change this to the next version as soon as you go ahead and make an update to your existing YAML file. Now, if you're repackaging your solution, again, the version needs to be changed. The metadata file will help you do that. And solution metadata file needs to be updated at that point to set the version. So it's a great question. Ensure that you update it. Suppose if you are updating a solution and only 1 content or 2 content items are changed in that, just update the version of that content only. And then the solution version. Do not update the version of all the content items because they didn't undergo any change.
Great.
So the guidance is all there as well in these.
Thank you. The next question we have is, what's the difference between the items in data connectors and the items in Content Hub?
Okay, that's a great question. And let me switch over to Content Hub and data connectors quickly. So we are actually in the process of centralizing discovery of all content items in Content Hub. This is currently in flight. So you will see like a lot of data connectors, like for example, when we looked at the Azure activity, let's go to that quickly. The Azure Activity solution, right? The data connector for this already exists in the data connector gallery. So we are currently in the process of getting all of these represented centrally in Content Hub. And then we will actually go through a process of also kind of cleaning up some of these folders for data connectors, which has like all these items as well, which like you'll be using some of them, but not all. So 147 data connectors. So we'll also go through a process, a more like kind of a phased approach to kind of get these cleaned up and remove the clutter in customer workspaces too. So data connectors, analytics, again, like if you look at the rule templates, there are a lot of rule templates, and it's very hard to discover the value that each provides. So there will be that that phased approach of decluttering the galleries as well. Once we get all of this content centrally represented in Content Hub, either as solutions or as standalone content items, and standalone items is also coming up next. So stay tuned for roadmap sessions on this, and we'll do deeper dive in that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Our next question is, our team collects alerts from various Microsoft services via the Graph API, such as Sentinel. However, we noted that while we can successfully collect most Sentinel incidents via the Graph API, we are unable to collect incidents generated by Fusion rules. Are these Fusion incidents available for collection via an API?
So currently, Fusion rules are not available through an API output, because these are actually built-in rules and they operate within the product context itself. But I'll take that up with our analytics team, and that'll be a question to follow up on.
Great, thanks. The next one is, we aim to use Sentinel as a SIEM to centralize alerts and investigate on compliance incidents from Microsoft Purview, which is possible via the Defender 365 connector. Is it possible to build a solution in Sentinel that allows to investigate as deeply as in the Microsoft Purview Compliance Center?
That's a great great idea for a roadmap. So noted, and I'll pass this on to our acceleration team so that we can learn something in that area.
Great,
thank you.
The next question is, will this work with the SAP RISE setup?
Pardon, I didn't get that one. The SAP?
The
Solution is there.
SAP RISE setup?
I would defer that to our SAP solution team actually who can help answer that. Yep,
Okay.
we'll take that up.
And the last question we have is it possible to automate via CLI or REST API enabling UEBA activity templates?
Okay, this is the UEBA templates, and UEBA, as we were looking at one of the newer content types that we want to unlock, UEBA is in that pipeline. So stay tuned. It'll be there in the roadmap.
Great. Thank you, Preeti, for being our guest today and for an excellent presentation. And thank you to the rest of the team who helped answer questions. At the same time, I would like to remind the listeners that the best way to ensure you don't miss any future webinars or major announcements is to visit our landing page at aka.ms/securitycommunity. And while there, you'll find easy ways to navigate and find the resources and learning content relevant to our security products and their communities. A good start would be browsing our bite-sized product videos, ninja trainings, recordings of past webinars, GitHub communities, and more. We love to hear your feedback on how we can improve these webinars. Please take a minute submitting your webinar feedback at aka.ms/security webinar feedback. Thank you and see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you.